So thank you everyone for coming to the WiCyS Military Affiliates February meeting, where I'm really excited to host our guest speaker tonight, Nathalie Cano. Nathalie is amazing. She is a former Amazon technical recruiter and a current security engineer for Trinity Solar. And she is also the founder of a really cool nonprofit, Grace in Action. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we're really excited to learn from you.
Well, thank you for having me, Kristen. Hi, everyone. This is going to be, I hope, super dynamic, I hope, in the sense that the reason why I said yes in such a short notice is because I said, oh, you know what, this is all about personality. And part of the background of that Kristen so gracefully just shared with us about me is also that my entire background up until I broke into this industry has been working with people. I used to be a social worker since 2000, oh my God, like for over now 16 years in general. And this is why I have the nonprofit that I have, because I have worked in so many domains in social work. But that it's also about people, right? And as a recruiter, constantly communicating with individuals trying to break into different industries or trying to get a job in the same industry. And when it comes to now cybersecurity, this is the least role that I have had when it comes to having interaction with people. But then I'm a people's person. So I said, you know what? I need to interact more with people because I need it. Like this is how I do cybersecurity. So part of, I guess what I'm trying to say is I have also, one of the main things that I have done in cybersecurity is help individuals in the same way that I broke into the industry. I have helped individuals break into the industry, but at the same time, helping them in the same way that I created. So I guess what I'm trying to say, when I transitioned from being a technical recruiter to cybersecurity, people might say, oh, it must have been not so difficult because as a recruiter, you had a whole bunch of recruiters around that probably they helped you. I was hoping, to be very honest, that was my hope. I was like, oh, it's not gonna be that difficult. I have this entire network of recruiters. Now, the problem was, and there's a reason why I'm sharing these. The problem is they were all software developer recruiters, not cybersecurity recruiters. So when I broke into the industry, I mean, prior to that, I had to figure it out. I had to come up with so many different ways to see what is it that is not working? What is it that I'm not doing? And little did I know, it took me about 3.5 months to create this method, this process that pretty much what I did, I reversed engineered. I reversed the process of a recruiter to find candidates, and I reversed it to find jobs. And a big part of that was implementing the personal, like being very personal with recruiters, but also super technical and whole things with algorithm. And that's what I want to share. I have also helped or assisted in career fairs. I have given multiple workshops in different universities or boot camps on how to approach recruiters or how to find a job by attracting recruiters, because that was the thing about my method. And the reason why, again, because although I love cybersecurity, for me, coming from the background that I'm coming from, I needed to interact with people. Now, with that being said, I hope that little background kind of gives you an idea about, okay, she might have something to share. She seems to be all about people, I hope. Now, I also, if you have any questions and any, please feel free to stop me and say, Nathalie, what does that mean? Or how do we do this? Please, because this is how we help each other. There is no such a thing as a silly question, because my hope for us is for us to, every single person that's listening to me right now, to feel much more empowered by the time that this recording ends. And not empower in a sense of like, oh, I just feel so strong and undefeated. It's just feel more yourself and feel very comfortable that the way you are is exactly how you need to approach a recruiter. And the reason why is because recruiters, and now I'm actually jumping into the subject right now. The first thing that I want us to understand is what a recruiter is. I really, really feel that it's super important, especially in cybersecurity. I think Kristen is going to she's going to understand this so well, because I don't know what everyone it's what domains, but when it comes to understanding, for example, on the offensive side, it makes us a much better security engineer, for example, right? Understanding the tactics of our adversaries, it makes us better to be able to know what is it that we need to do to prevent certain things. The same thing, this is part of my method, understanding the processes of a recruiter and who they are, what they do, and what really works for them and what doesn't, for us to have a better understanding of what is it that we need to do. So the first thing that I want us to kind of have more clarity on is I'm just going to talk about two types of recruiters. So the first thing, you guys are going now to this conference. There's going to be so many different companies that are going to be there. What I would love for everyone to do, if you guys have time, which I hope you guys do, is to have an idea of the type of companies that you want to target. For example, you would love to work, I don't know, at Mandiant or at Google, or so have an idea of that, of the type of companies, and keep it in mind. Now, depending on the type of company that you're targeting, for example, Google or Mandiant, meaning what I'm trying to say is if it's a really big company, meaning, I don't know, 10,000 employees up, you most probably going to have this one type of recruiter, which is the ones that do not get paid to get you a job. Now, that's important to know, simply because the other type of recruiter is what we call agency recruiters. Agency recruiters are the ones that they're really trying to get every single person they can, because they get a lot of commission for every single head that they come. Well, that's kind of headhunters, you understand. But why does this matter? Because depending on the type of recruiter that you're interacting with, your approach should be slightly different. Now, all recruiters, regardless, their main job obviously is to find candidates. But so when you do your homework and you say, okay, you know what, identify 10, for example, I want us to identify 10 different companies. Once you have those companies identified and you strategically or intentionally are going to approach it. Now, I'm only speaking right here on the type of recruiters, but on this, I will touch the same topic to explain now the type of approach that we should have. I just want us to have some clarity on why is it important to know this type of recruiters, because the ones that don't get paid, these are called company recruiters, right? For example, I was at Amazon Recruiter. I didn't get any commission out of any of my leads. So by default, these type of companies tend to be a little bit more, they scrutinize you more, right? It's like, let me see if this person really is who, it doesn't really matter, meaning the timeline is different. If you're working now for a company, or you come across a recruiter that is an agency recruiter, these are the ones that are going to get you the best salary, that are going to get you, why? Because the faster they get someone through the pipeline, and the more your salary is, the more they get, the more the commission is. So when it comes to negotiations, and this is just a tip on the side. Like I said, it sounds like, okay, we're going to a career fair, we're really going to negotiate. I'm simply giving this little pearl just in the future that you might take it. If you come to a negotiation, always try to understand the type of recruiter, because one won't do much to get you to the level, to get you more of a salary. The corporate recruiter, now the one that is through an agency, and by the time you will know, they will do their best to get you the best salary, but you still should, ask for more. Now, not that to the side, I'm just kind of giving that little pearl over there, because I feel like it's a huge difference where people say, oh, Natalie, how do we negotiate? First, let's identify the recruiter. Now, let's pretend we're at the conference, right? We're walking and our hands are sweating, and I'm like, oh my God, here it is. It's time to talk to these people. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Now let's again talk, let's think as a recruiter. Recruiters constantly speak to so many individuals, to so many. Now, what should be your main approach? Like, what should be your goal? To be memorable, and not just for recruiters, for absolutely everybody that you meet at a conference. You want to be memorable, but not go with the intention of like, I don't want nobody to forget me. No, meaning it's just to build relationships, because at the end of the day, it's all about networking. This is genuinely, now that I've been in so many different industries, right? I've been in a social work industry and recruiting industry, and now I'm in the cybersecurity industry. There's no difference. Really, it's all about how many people you know and what kind of relationship has we built with them. And to me, in my personal opinion, there is no better place to do that than at conferences. Now, how do we and I really hope that this really, because again, we're going to kind of dissect or kind of branch. We're going to have many different things are going to come from these. But the main goal is to build relationships, not just with recruiters, as I said, every single person you meet. How? By speaking, by being yourself. There is nothing more that a recruiter or anyone finds more annoying than someone that it kind of feels you seem fake or super extremely rehearsed. The rehearsed part is not as annoying as coming off like, oh, I just know everything. Who are you? And I'm just, like with that, and you're gonna find people like that. Now, when you come across a recruiter that has seen, for example, before you in that conference, maybe that recruiter has spoken to, I don't know, 75 people or 62 or 40 or 12. How do you make yourself stand out? In the same way, you will always make yourself stand out, whatever you are, by being yourself. And again, I can go extremely technical, but I swear to you, this is exactly how I used to get the candidates. I will have candidates because for me as a recruiter, was extremely important to have a notion, to have a very good understanding. I mean, very good as much as we can, right? But a good understanding of who is this person that I'm considering to put through this pipeline. Pipeline means I'm going to call the hiring manager and say, I think this is a very good candidate. It's not only very well-rounded, but at the same time, it has the personality. Now, why am I saying that? Why am I putting so much emphasis on personality? Because of culture. Culture is a huge thing right now, whether people like it or not, in companies everywhere. Now, I was also involved in the diversity part of recruiting diversity individuals. And that's a really, at least from Amazon, it was extremely strategic. We used to have these incredible meetings, hundreds of people just focused on how to hire diversity individuals. But it was because every company gets a huge fine if they don't have a minimum of a diversity individuals. And not only that, because the culture right now requires it. It's just part also not only a legal requirement, but it's you see, there's no secret now that the younger generation are changing a lot of things, and culture is one of them. So culture now, the majority of individuals right now in the workforce, their main thing for why they change jobs is no longer, oh, I'm not getting paid. It's genuinely culture. So if you come across a recruiter and you're not only relevant when it comes to, hey, this person seems to know what they're saying, or seems to know everything that's on the resume. I'm asking them questions and they seem pretty, pretty in control of their knowledge, right? I'm not really finding any so many red flags, because there's no such a thing as 100% perfect individual when it comes to in the eyes of a recruiter. But I gotta say, and in my own opinion, in my own experience across multiple domains, but especially in cybersecurity, I cannot tell you how many times in my experience here, I have been hired mostly for culture as well, because I have been honest, and that's another thing that I want to say. Part of being who we are when it comes to a recruiter, and what do I mean by who we are? Meaning, you see the recruiter, remember they are human beings just like you. If you have spoken to someone prior to the recruiter at a conference and you kind of clicked with this girl, I want you to have the same kind of personality. You see the recruiter and you say, hey, how's it going? Oh my God, you must be tired. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm actually very grateful to have the opportunity to just meet so many of you. The one thing that I want to say also when it comes to being yourself, right? When you meet someone, for example, I don't know, at a bar, or you meet someone at a party or anywhere, at a house party or a dinner, a family dinner, someone brings, you're not going to ask immediately, how much money do you make? Or what do you have for me? Right? No, because that's rude. The same thing, we don't come to a recruiter and say, do you have any open roles? Because first, that shows that you haven't done your homework. You should know if there's open roles, because every single company have a website. Every single company has a website that shows what kind of roles. And again, it's a very common thing. So also don't crucify yourself if you're like, oh my God, I've done that so many times. Most people do it. But at the same time, it's kind of like a recruiter already knows from 10 people that come, at least 7 are going to come immediately to ask, do you have any open roles? The best way to approach that question is, what is, obviously, again, this is why I started saying, do your homework first. Do your homework first. And once you identify the companies that you want to approach, go and check what kind of roles are relevant to you, right? What is it that you're looking for? And is there anything that you find that is actually, that you see, oh my God, this might be a role for me. Now, I'm going to be sharing, as you guys can see, there is a lot of information. So please feel free at any time to say, Natalie, can you repeat that again? Natalie, I didn't understand that. This is a short time. And that's why I said, let me just do it conversational, but I'm going to also leave my email. I'm going to be also following up with another email, how to draft the resume. I will give some tips on that. But what I want to say is, when it comes to you doing the homework and looking through the positions, I don't know, again, I would love to know. Actually, let me ask this question. Allow me to just kind of break a little bit. Is everyone in cybersecurity already, or are you guys looking to just change jobs or looking to get your first job? If someone can kind of help me to have an idea of where we're standing, because I can craft this part of the conversation a little better. Someone wants to volunteer in cybersecurity already? Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, KB. All right. So what I want to say is, in anything in cybersecurity or any other role, recruiters looking to change job already in cyber, thank you guys so much. Okay. So it will be relevant, because I said, oh my God, what if everybody already has like 25 years in the industry, that it wouldn't be that relevant. Now, recruiters, we exaggerate by nature. We need to. Why? Because we want to bring unicorns to our hiring managers. So if the hiring manager is telling us, listen, Natalie, we just need someone that has 2-3 years of experience in incident response, which is, there's no such a thing. For example, as a security analyst, just 2-3 years. We recruiters, which is a bad thing, but we will put 5 years, because if we come to our hiring manager with, hey, I know you asked for 2 to 3 years, but I'm bringing you this amazing unicorn who actually has 5 years. What I want to say is, if you find that you meet the requirements from that job that you're actually looking at, you meet the requirements at least 65% or even 60%, do apply. Or in this case, consider it, because remember, this job post is mostly exaggerated, because that is part of being a recruiter. We want to also bring the best we can, and it's not helping the industry. On the other side that I'm here, I'm like, there's such a toxic industry. This is why I left it too. It's just, we're always trying to find better, but people already are great. But this is the thing. Now, once you do the homework and you identify it, you come to the recruiter and you say, hey, again, super yourself. I'm only being myself, but just be very comfortable at conferences, at anything that you want to approach in life. There is only one rule, and is do not ask permission to be yourself. And that's kind of hard to do. It has taken me a long time to speak the way I'm speaking, to kind of sound confident, but we all go through imposter syndrome a lot. I come from a super non-traditional background. I had the incredible privilege to work with Kristen, and Kristen know how much I messed up at my work. And there's a reason I'm sharing these. I'm trying to be personal with all of you, because there's so many things sometimes that we go through that makes us doubt our own value as a professional, our own even value as a person, which is such a hard thing to go through. But I gotta say, the more confident we are, and not just, and again, sometimes it's fake it until you make it. If we understand what imposter syndrome is really, everybody goes through it different, and so many, it doesn't matter if they are CEOs or they're just analysts, we all go through it. But when it comes to meeting other people, we have to do our best to be ourselves, because this is how we are relatable. You see, if you're just the personality that you have, if you're more quiet, you're going to be your quiet self, but try to be relatable. If you're nervous in front of the recruiter, say it. So I'm sorry, I don't do this very often, so I'm nervous, but I really would like to. Now, once you do that, the first step is try to calm yourself, or try to be very empowered of your real personality, because recruiters, again, we're people's person. And we don't know if the recruiter you have in front of you come from a sales background, for example. So that means this people is even more people's person. What I'm trying to say is, we can tell when someone might not be a good culture fit. And a culture fit is these: I think I can trust this person. And I got to say to you, there has been many times that candidates have been chosen over much more qualified individuals, simply because of this ability to show, like, the hiring manager and the recruiter feel like they can trust you, and that you're teachable for even if you're changing jobs. Why? Because now the industry have changed. It's not so much about being super technical or resume ready. Is this person going to be a good fit? Is this person going to be, for example, you're a seasoned individual now. You have been 5, 6, 7 years into the industry. That means that part of the culture that is going to be expected from you is for you to teach others. Is this person someone that newbies can come to, and can this person help us make the culture better? So when you come to a recruiter, and I cannot emphasize this enough, I think my entire thing tonight, obviously that was my intention. I was very intentional about this, is for us to understand that when it comes to networking, I've done networking for years. I meet all sorts of people, again, as the president of the nonprofit organization, meeting so many individuals from social work, from politics, and I have terrible grammar. I make mistakes with the way I speak, and yet when you look at my phone and look at my social media, I have people that I have been able to connect, that I'm building relationships with, and I said, wow, I'm glad I'm not wrong. It really is about showing who you are. It will get you jobs. I swear, it will get you so many jobs, because if you're relevant, so on one side, and this is why I'm not touching so much about what is it that you need to do when it comes to the technicality of the projects you need to add, because that's part of what I do also when I try to help people break into the industry. That's a whole different topic. This one is a huge one, and it's also a technical level. But you guys are going to be networking most of everything. My goal is for you guys to walk away from that career fair with as many contacts as you can, and not only recruiters, because sometimes your actual job is going to come from the person that's sitting next to you, that you were talking about your dog, or you were talking about your kids, or you were talking about your trip. And when you're in LinkedIn, or you're actually, I don't know, on Twitter, you will have the opportunity later on to say, hey, is there any way, maybe is your company hiring? And guess what? They say, you know what? Yes. And that's another thing. Most companies have an incentive to help people come into the company. So there's even a more bigger reasons for this individual to help you. That is the main thing. Now, when it comes to a recruiter, be yourself and do your homework before you approach them. Now, many times again, recruiters are not super, like, how can I say this? Super warm and super approachable. You still be yourself. Okay, you still be your quirky self, or your funny self, or your serious self. The way you are is going to leave the recruiter with this feeling like, you know what, at least this one didn't feel like it was this robot. We get so many robots that come and go, and you forget about them. You really do. But if the conversation goes well, for example, it's like, hey, I love the company, I love what you guys do, and I came across this open role that you have. Of course, if the conversation can lead towards, just kind of like, oh, I love what you're wearing, just kind of be yourself. I personally am. Everybody that I meet, I try to find something that I like, because I don't know, I always try to notice a lot of stuff. And I was like, I love your earrings. For example, I love the makeup that Kristen is wearing today. I noticed it and I said, she looks so beautiful. Now, I will try to say things like that, but in a genuine way. Now, if you think the conversation is going well, I want you guys to ask, is there any way that I can remain in contact with you? And be honest, they know why. You're not trying to pretend, oh, it's because I like, they know why. Say, I'm really trying to build my network. I promise I won't be bothering or anything. I just genuinely trying to build my network. Is there any way? The good thing about this particular conference that you guys are going to is you can scan your badge, right? And immediately takes you to the person. If they have added in there the LinkedIn, you can say that. Can I add you to my LinkedIn? If you think the conversation is going well. If the conversation is kind of more on the serious side, ask them, do you have any business card? Now, if the business card hopefully has the email, right? Their own email. Sometimes it's an info email, or you can ask, can I have your email? Because remember, more than the recruiters, I want you guys to think of that conference as everybody's a recruiter, everybody's a potential job, everybody's a potential change of a job. And I will even challenge you to think even further. Everybody's a potential asset to my career, to my goals, because you don't know if you're going to be blogging, or if you're already blogging, or if you're going to open something and these people can be now your followers. Everybody, conferences are an amazing opportunity, not only to build an audience to what you already are doing, but to the things that you're going to do in the future. And I gotta say, for me, in my case, it has also been a great source of building a very supportive friendship, and virtual friendship. Sometimes some of them I haven't met, and it has been like that. In the same way, just by being yourself, again, remember that out there is different. It's not how it used to be before. It's all about culture. Now, at the same time, be relevant at that part. This kind of go a little bit away from today's conversations, but your resume. Let's talk about how to approach it. The same way you would approach someone that has been next to you. Hi, how are you? Oh my God, thank you so much for doing this. This is so cool. You must be so tired talking to so many people. But again, be very, very genuine. Be very genuine. Be very humble too. That's a huge one. And I'm sorry if this kind of come across kind of weird, but humility goes a long way. It really does. I mean, there are so many individuals that it just really, really shows everything you do. Oh, I'm a big shot. I have all these titles. I have all these. But guess what? The majority of people are like that. So how can you be memorable if the majority of people that sometimes we come across are exactly like that? Now, what people want to see, and I think if we're very honest with ourselves, we all want to see people that we can see ourselves in them. We can see our mistakes in them. We can see our, like, some, just kind of like, oh my God, he looks so cool. And he looks like someone I want to come and talk to a little bit more. Or if I reach out to this individual, it makes me feel like he's not going to ghost me or just be rude. The same way you want to be when you meet them. You see, you want to be yourself. You want to be humble. You want to bring your true authentic self as much as you can. Sometimes we don't know exactly how to do that, and these are great opportunities to do that. And if that scares you because we have been kind of taught to be more reserved, we come from cultures that maybe we are not, that's not how I was brought up, but you would like, maybe inside of you would like to be like that. This is a great opportunity. What can you lose? I always say to people, what can you lose? Maybe someone is going to look at you like, oh, what a weirdo. I get that all the time. I'm like, okay, what a weirdo. But the majority of people is like, they're in my network, and I continue building relationships with them. I gotta be very honest also, in a very good way. The majority of jobs I've had, I'm still friends with the people I work with the managers, with the CEOs, and I'm grateful for that. And it doesn't mean I did great at the job. It's because I think we were able to connect at a personal level, and that makes the whole difference. I'm very, very grateful for that, and it's something that I talk about this in every platform I can. When I gave my purple teaming conference at the Women in Cybersecurity last year, I said the same thing. I kind of like diverted or moved away a little bit from the technical topic, and I just said, guys, I'm here because kind of like, just be bold about who you are. You see, and this is how I was able to speak to so many people in so many different conferences, being a newbie in the industry. But I learned the topic enough for me to feel confident about what I was saying, but also I was confident in who I was. And I didn't care if people kind of thought I'm like, oh, she could be a little bit more professional. Guess what? I don't know how to be more professional. This is my level of, like, I like being relatable. And I have gotten most of the jobs I have interviewed for simply by being relatable. And I was very grateful also when some of the managers say that, Natalie, we just feel that we can trust you. And not just me, I have coached at least 7 people last year that were breaking into the industry. And this is my main thing that I say. I want you guys to feel very comfortable about approaching individuals like that, about who you are. And they got great results from it too. And it takes time, but these are great opportunities to do it. Now, let's talk about the elevator pitch. No, let's not talk about the elevator pitch. Do you guys have any questions at this point? Thank you, KB. Thank you for sharing. Anyone has any questions? Anything? No? Okay, let's move on. Now, so the elevator pitch. The elevator pitch is very tricky, but simple, just like everything, right? Now, I want us to keep in mind, could you talk about that, please? Experience versus education. Okay, I will try to have some time for that, absolutely, yes. Now, Kristen, if you can help me, please, to kind of not, at the end, to keep track of the questions. Thank you so much. Now, the elevator pitch. The elevator pitch, this is different. This is not a 2-minute elevator pitch because there's so many people around trying to talk to these recruiters, right? So we're going to just keep in mind 30 seconds. Now, I don't want you guys to go and time yourself. This is what I do. Well, maybe we should, but this is what I do. I want us to create a list of the 10 most your achievements in anything. When it, again, I also have through my nonprofit, right? I have to meet all these individuals and also do elevator pitch. So I came across I don't know if you guys know Lisa Nichols. She's the #1 motivational speaker and one of the best, most successful motivational speakers as a woman. And from her, I learned, she said, let's reverse. Well, anyway, let's just change the elevator pitch. She said, we start with our accomplishments. So I started doing that at conferences too. When I'm interested in a particular company and I know I only have 20 to 30 seconds, I start with like, allow me to just share something really, really quick with you. I'm just going to talk about my accomplishment and see if this is something that will be, you consider it could be a fit for this particular role, or you don't have to kind of give that introduction. What I want us to say is create a list of the 10 things that are most relevant about you when it comes to for the role that you're looking for in general. And the accomplishments that are related to that role. For example, I'm going to give a real life scenario. I was in front of this hiring manager and this analyst. That was for my first job in cybersecurity for a bank. It was for a Japanese bank. And they asked me, can you please talk about any relevant accomplishment? And I said, well, I haven't had a real job in cybersecurity, but I think one of my biggest accomplishments is the fact that I created my own experience by volunteering in the community, doing the things that I knew I was going to be doing at a company. And how did I do so? I knew. So one very important thing in cybersecurity and any company is your ability to present, to give presentations, sometimes at a scale of, speaking in public, or sometimes it's just in front of your teammates. Just presentations are big. So I said, okay, I think I'm okay at speaking, I think. So I went into my community and I started going to the library and I started like, hey, I would love to be given workshops for the community on how to spot a scam, how to what are the red flags when it comes to a phishing email, to the elders or to. So he was so impressed. This hiring manager, he was so impressed that he said, Nathalie, I haven't come across a single person that created their own experience because you couldn't find a job. And those are the things. Now I'm sharing this also for a reason. If this is your first time looking for a job in cybersecurity, do that. Because at the end of the day, it's always better to have a candidate that has some sort of experience. So another thing is, if you have anyone in your family that owns a business, ask them, can I check for the antivirus in your computer? And you kind of start putting all those things in your resume, that I have done vulnerability assessments, that I have done things like that. But in reality, I'm a huge community person. So I will say also go into, low-income areas in your community and look at nonprofit organizations that you can actually help and put that in your resume. Now, let's put that aside. When you're in front of the recruiter, those are accomplishments, right? Let's say, you know what, I have been able to help so many small businesses or so many nonprofit organizations or so many people in the community because I knew, and you want to say that, because I knew that I needed this experience. And since I didn't want to come across any hiring manager or a recruiter without absolutely anything, I started doing that. And I think, and it has been going well. So I'm actually very confident about any position that I have now because I have been practicing in communities or anywhere. Those are accomplishments. Now, if you are looking for a change of jobs, that means you already have accomplishments in your previous positions. Talk about that, but be relevant. This is very, very important. One thing is being super relatable and being yourself and just showing who you are in that moment that you're getting with this recruiter or hiring manager. And another one is being relevant. And the relevant is we start by doing our homework. And when you create that list and you put the 10 things that the biggest accomplishment, then I want you to narrow down that list into maybe two, the accomplishment that are the biggest about you, and also things that really set you apart. And that is your 30-second elevator pitch. You see, because now you're being relevant, and your elevator pitch should be about who you are and what you have accomplished. Now, in anything with elevator pitches, you want to start with the results in mind. You see, you want to start like, okay, why am I even listening to you? For example, and I'm just going to give an example that is not related to cybersecurity. For example, sales. Why should anyone buy from you? Where your elevator pitch is going to tell me why, because your elevator pitch is going to start with how is that you're going to help me. So in the same way, your elevator pitch should actually be focused on why is that you're such an asset, whether it is the way you think, whether it is the way you create culture around you, whether it is just a combination of things. Narrow it down to 30 seconds from the list that it has been created. Now, when it comes to the resume, I will go back. Now I'm going to put my recruiter hat, because it's important to understand the processes of a recruiter when it comes to resumes. So as a recruiter, I was tasked to go through 200 resumes a day. How much time do you think? Well, actually it was 400, but they kind of were like, okay, Nathalie, 200, but they literally said 400 resumes a day. Now, how much time do you think a recruiter, well, at that time it's a sorcerer, which is funny, right? It's a funny word. Now, as a recruiter, how much time do you think we have to kind of like give to each resume if we have to go through over 200 resumes a day? So the average time is it's about 2 to 5 seconds. So when I have these individuals, when I was talking to at this boot camp in New York City, and people are just showing me all these beautiful resumes, and some of them were so stressed out about the perfect format. And I'm looking at this very fancy format, and I said, there is no way I'm going to go through this resume that is 2-3 pages long, which that is fine. That's not, I'll talk about that. With this beautiful structure, but it's not easy to read. So just super simple. Simplicity. It's pretty much like put your personality. Well, actually, no, let me take that away. Just very simple. And I will show you, I will email everyone that's interested a format that I personally believe is easy. And what do I mean by easy? That everything is there. You're going to start with your name, right? Your title, what is that you do, the summary about you. Now, projects. Guys, this is huge. This is another part of like the service that I provide for free, by the way. To coach individuals, I always say the number one thing in a resume, because a resume, I cannot see your personality, which there is a way to see it, and it's super important. Projects are very important. So make sure you put the projects on your resume. When you go to these conferences, bring 20 resumes. You might only give away 2 or 3, but always be over prepared when it comes to the resumes, because who knows, maybe your personality is kicking. I'm like, oh my God, look how many people took my resume. And it's always better to be over prepared. Now, the resume, the projects is the number one thing I will say, and put the projects right below the summary. And what kind of project? The number one project I always say to people, regardless of where you are in your career, is create a video presentation of any of your projects. If you're writing a blog, or if you are, for example, in my case, I recorded the screen when I was simulating one of the not MITRE attack, this is Red Canary, one of the Red Canary attacks. And but why is it important to create a video? Because a recruiter, and this is where, again, it's important to understand what a recruiter is really looking for when it comes to resumes. A resume that gives the recruiter an idea that you are a good candidate, not just for the information that's in there, but if I come across your resume in those 5 seconds and it grabs my attention because kind of like, this is relevant, and there is a link over there that I can type into my computer and I'm going to see the way you speak. You see, accent doesn't matter. Clarity does. Can I understand what you're saying? That's a huge deal, because every single hiring manager, every single one, says to every single recruiter, make sure they have good communication skills. And good communication skill has nothing to do with an accent. It has a lot to do with, like, am I being able to, is the team going to be able to understand this individual? So a huge project, anything that you want to, any project that you have, try to do it on video. Now, if you're very shy and don't like, kind of like your camera shy and that freaks you out, then just speak. You don't have to put the camera. You can just record whatever you're doing, or just kind of walk through on, I don't know, anything. But the reason why I'm saying is because you will kill so many birds with one stone when you give a recruiter on a resume a link that can listen to you. You see, the recruiter can actually click on a video and have an idea how you're communicating about this particular project, the way you speak, and a little bit of your personality. That's a huge, literally many times a recruiter will skip the process and give send that link to the hiring manager. What do you think? You think this person knows what he's talking about this project? What do you think about the personality? What do you think about the communication skill, the communication stuff? So that's a huge one. Now, bye Tracy. Sorry, I just saw this. So when it comes to the resume, keep it very simple. For each job that you had, no more than 5 bullet points. And it's not true that you should keep your resume to 1 page. That is the craziest thing. I don't know why people keep saying that. We used to have meetings at Amazon complaining about who are the individuals that are telling other people to keep it to 1 page. I'm going to tell you why. Because if I'm coming across your resume and it's relevant, and you kept it only to 1 page, and I'm really loving your resume, but it's too short, meaning, that means I have to call this candidate and, and find out more. Is there anything more? Because, for example, if I come across a resume now that has 2 pages of relevant information, that's great, because the more relevant information that you give, the better it is for a recruiter, because we're like, whoa, and what do I mean by relevant? For example, you come from a non-traditional background, right? Were you a manager? Or were you leading a project? Did you increase the sales? Like that shows the way you think. You see things at a resume. Now, please do not add all the volunteer work that you did. If you do volunteer work that is, that kind of shows certain personality, a certain quality, meaning leadership, or culture, meaning, wow, this person loves teaching, right? Because do add that. But I find individuals that, I don't know, that they just add so much stuff, or I hope I'm making sense. This is why I said, you know what, the resume part, I'm going to send it over an email. You guys are going to see a format. You guys can follow, because it can get, it will take all an entire hour. Now, we have about 8 minutes. I do want to address the question that was here in the chat. Do you remember the question, Kristen? If we could talk about.
Yeah, she wanted to know if you could speak about experience versus education.
Well, experience is always going to be much more valuable, but education has its place too. And this is now, if you only have education, this is where you really want to lean as much as you can on your personality, on the culture, right? And you want to lean on projects, because at the end of the day, a hiring manager always going to feel a little bit more, is going to feel a little bit more secure for someone that has done it before, that has been through it before. It's just the way it is. But when it comes to education, also, if you're reading, for example, it says you need a bachelor's degree for these, but you do qualify, like you match all the boxes. That means that's mostly the recruiter. I gotta say, many companies, unless it's a really high profile job, like maybe at a director's level, sometimes even a manager, that they might require for you to have at least a bachelor's. But especially in cybersecurity, do lean more. If you only have education, do lean more on the culture side. And also, what else can you bring to the table? You might not have done it specifically before, but this is where the project that I mentioned, going to the communities, there is so much need. Again, I love community. Everything about my life is just, my nonprofit is about helping individuals with drug addiction and low-income families and families struggling with homelessness and a lot of stuff like that. So, but I also worked in many nonprofit organizations in low-income areas. And this is how I fell in love with cybersecurity, because we got hacked. One of the most important nonprofit organizations that help many other nonprofits with our, like, how do you say that, they will distribute federal money. They got hacked. So many other nonprofit organizations couldn't get the money when they needed it. So that means it delayed so many projects that were helping the community. So I always say to people, if you have the skills to go into the community and help nonprofit organizations that don't have absolutely no support in cybersecurity, and maybe you can guide them or you can volunteer for them, do so. And if you're just trying to break into the industry, that's a huge thing. At least I have been, I guess I don't want to sound arrogant, I have been praised for that, but mostly for the thought process. Wait, you created your own? Yes and no. I mean, I created it, but in reality, I also knew there was a need, and I had gained some skills that can help the community. But so in that side, if you don't have experience, lean on the culture side and create your own experience. Whether you have people in your family that have businesses or going to the community, please go into the community. Now, the opposite. If you have experience but don't have an education, that's me. Guess what? I haven't had a single problem in almost any domain, because experience tend to win. Now, with that being said, if you're looking at higher levels of like higher positions, it will be maybe beneficial to start first analyze, what is it that I want to do? Do I want to be a CISO? Do I want to be a director one day? So you're most probably going to need at some point, not everybody, because I also know many individuals and also women who are managers in great companies, and they don't have a bachelor's degree. They don't even have an associate's degree. They just have great experience. They have leadership skills. They have great experience in the technical domains that they manage. But across the domain, it seems to be kind of a thing that for higher positions, you might come across someone that says, listen, we will totally promote you, but you don't have a bachelor's degree. So do work on it if you can, but don't let anything come to you and say, I cannot do this because of this. Yes, you can. We can do it. And if we cannot do it right away, we'll build ourselves to it. But the main thing, remember, what is the main goal that I'm trying to share with everybody? We all struggle with imposter syndrome, and it's very real. And it's actually like medically proven too. There's psychological effects to it that we all experience. But if we start embracing our authenticity, who we are, and we come across people just the way we are, and humility is a huge one. It will get you so far. Just truly who you are, and say, well, if people doesn't like me, most probably I won't like them either. So because I'm being myself. just go with that. I hope that answers that question. Anything else? What advice would you give to someone who has education and experience, but still having trouble getting a job? I will say in this case, we will analyze. I would analyze, is it a culture thing? Maybe some people have everything, they're great, but they're not, they get very, very nervous at interviews, for example. And it happens. It's like people sometimes are great at, they understand everything, the topic, but at the time of a test, they do terrible. And it has nothing to do with the actual subject or the subject they're testing for. It's just how nervous they get. That's one. Maybe it's something about you being nervous, your resume. So why is it that I share the process, or that I started this coaching class? Because for me, it took me 3.5 months to calibrate the process enough, because I came across that. I said, okay, it seems like I'm a good fit, but why I'm not getting responses from recruiters? Recruiters are not calling me when I'm applying. What is it? So it could also be a technical issue within your resume. So my goal, my advice, or my approach, which I'm actually very grateful, extremely grateful to say that it has worked so well, not only for me, but for other people, is instead of, hoping to applying to many jobs and just hoping to get called, for me, is attracting recruiters. What is it that recruiters want to see that I will attract them when they come across, when they do their own searches, right? They do Boolean searches and they use LinkedIn for all these things. We have 1 minute left. So it can also be technical. Now, with that being said, I was talking to Kristen, and I said, Kristen, do you think it will be your audience would like to maybe have, because I don't know, Kristen, is this okay too? I don't know, like, yes, okay. Because I also said, well, maybe I can do the classes here. I can do some of this coaching that I do. I can do it here with you guys as well, because for me, I feel so honored that I'm here, especially for individuals that, I mean, honestly, I was like, wow, you guys have served, and some of you are the wives or individuals that served. And to me, there's such honor. My organization is called Grace in Action, but the word grace means honor. And that's why I put Grace in Action. So I'm very grateful. And if you guys think that, hey, we might benefit from these, I would love to help in any way. So you guys let me know, because it could also, what I do, I go through everything. I go through the technicality of a resume. I go through these processes of understanding the algorithms of job boards, how to create the LinkedIn and many other profiles that are needed, how to use the apps. That's a huge one, to apply to a minimum of 20 jobs a day, to create a pipeline that gives us at least 2 to 3 recruiters a week. It's a very involved process, but if you guys think it's something that can benefit, we can start having also these, I can share it with you guys. I also, part of these, I'm a certified holistic therapist for over 7 years. So a lot of what I do in my coaching classes is talking about these, it's all about in us, right? It's all about trying to just move away from these mental blockages that we have sometimes, that come from so many experiences that we have had. So you guys let me know if you guys think this is something that you guys are interested. I can totally share it here. Okay. Well, I think that's it, guys. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much for your time. It has been great. I really hope it has been insightful to all of you.
Yeah, thank you so much for donating some of your time to us tonight. And I'll sync up with you afterward, and then we can figure out how to distribute everything via email to everyone. And then Nathalie's LinkedIn, I dropped her link in the chat if you want to connect with her there.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Yeah, I'll do that. Oh, did you do it? Okay. And this is also
Yeah.
my Twitter handle.
I'm going to stop the recording.